All right, we're recording. You'll have to forgive me. I've just got done exercising a little bit, so I'm a little hot and sweaty.
It's okay.
All right. We got some more people here. That's great. Hello, Madison.
Hello.
So I guess anybody watching the video right now is just watching us sit here. So I apologize if you're watching the video, but I want to wait until it's 2:30 now. So never mind. Let's get started. Actually, before I even start talking, I want to show you guys a little trick when it comes to the videos, because I'd like to hold a meeting, non-mandatory, every week, so I can record it and then post it. And if anybody's watching these recordings, there is a way to make them quicker. So let me show you how to do that. First, I need to show you my screen. Let's see here. Now, can one of you who are here confirm that you can hear me and you can see my screen and it looks like you can see a picture of the campus?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So the way it works when you're watching a video, and some of you might already know this, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you know regardless. Here, let me hit the play button. Get rid of this. All right. You can see here at the bottom right, there's this little gear, and it says settings. If you click that, then you can go up here where it says playback speed, and you can choose the speed, right? So for some weird reason you need to slow it down, you can do that, and you can also speed it up. So my recommendation is, if you're watching these videos, it wouldn't hurt to speed it up because time is valuable. So now that I have that out of the way, let me stop sharing and come back here. What I'll do is introduce myself, and then I'll take your questions. And then after that, we'll kind of go through a brief summary of the syllabus because you guys should have already read it anyway. So I just want to hit the highlights and then give you a few hints for module 1. So have you guys, the two of you, have either one of you seen the extra credit that I posted on the discussion forum where you can introduce yourself?
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember reading at least one of yours. So yeah, I think I've introduced myself there. I pretty much said everything, not everything, but most of the big stuff was said in that. There's not much else you should know about me, I guess. I'm pretty laid back. I take this job very serious, and this course is, I find it very important. A bachelor's degree is very important. I'm about to talk about that in a second. But besides that, I am very laid back. As you can see, like I said, I've just got finished exercising a little bit, so I'm coming to this meeting a little bit sweaty, and I apologize for that, but I'd rather be here sweaty than not here at all. I know some people look down on that. Same thing with you guys, so don't feel like, oh, he's holding a meeting and I want to come, but at the same time, I'm sick and I'm in bed and I know it's unprofessional. Well, I don't care about that. So you can do that if you want. And if you're really feeling self-conscious about it, you can put your, camera off or do something like that, whatever the case may be. Do either one of you have questions about me? I wouldn't have had either, right? What would you ask your professor? So anyway, let's talk then. Let's talk about the course in general. Here's a question I've got for you two. And there is no, I don't think, right or wrong answer, and it's an opinion kind of thing. But what would you say the difference is between getting a bachelor's degree versus getting like a trade degree? Like, why even get a bachelor's degree? What's the purpose? What's the end goal of a bachelor's degree generally? I guess I'm going to go from left to right. Austin, do you have anything and you don't have to answer, but do you have any guesses?
Well, for me, the reason I'm getting a bachelor's degree is because it's the one I'm getting is in criminal justice. That's what I want to do. I want to work within that field. There are some trade degrees and some ways to work in that field that you don't have to have a bachelor's degree. Like you could be a police officer or a corrections officer, but I don't have the personality for that. I'm not good at being mean. I'm too lenient. I can't do that. I want to work in the field some other way. So I need it to have it. I don't think it makes me smarter than anyone else.
Okay, that sounds good. How about you, Madison? Do you have anything to add, or?
Honestly, I'm kind of just doing it for like credentials. Like, yeah, I don't think it makes you smarter or not smarter than anyone else. Just kind of gives you like credibility and shows that you're like willing to put in some kind of work to, work towards your trade or degree or whatever you want to do.
I like that. I like both of those answers, and I would agree with both. For on one hand, and I think Austin's is one of the more common answers. A lot of times people are doing this because they want to get a job, right? I don't know if you read what I posted for the introduction, but I originally wanted to be a pharmacist. So I had to get a degree in pharmacy to do that. And now I'm doing what I wanted to do, or what I want to do, and I have to have a degree for that. So yeah, that is definitely a huge part of it. Is sometimes you just need to get a job, or at least to get the job you want. And like Madison said, sometimes it's just for credentials. Maybe, for example, you already have the job, but you just want to show like, hey, I'm trying to improve myself, and it helps you with the job that you already have. But in my opinion, there's also a really big, I don't say difference, but sort of, because if you're focused on the job aspect, then trade school, if you're only looking at money, trade school is kind of the way to go, right? You spend less time, you spend less money, they teach you a skill, you don't learn all this other stuff. You just learn what you need to learn to go out and make your money. Like, are either one of you biology majors?
No.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's what you already said, criminal justice, sorry. Yeah, so you're learning stuff that's not in your major. But in my opinion, that's actually really important. And I try to focus on that. I think everybody's different, every instructor's different, but to me, that's really important, especially looking at society today. To me, it's very important that we have critically thinking citizens. We have people who just don't think, and the pandemic has really exacerbated that, or at least made it clear to me. On both sides of any issue you can think of, I just see a lot of idiots. I'm just going to use that language. Or not necessarily that they're idiots, they're just not thinking. They've picked a side, and anytime they see any information that backs up their side, they're all about it, and they don't look any deeper. So we have these people who are running for office. We have these people who are voting. We have these people who are police officers or doctors or sitting on a jury, right? So in my opinion, one of the most important things about getting a college degree, a bachelor's degree anyway, is the fact that you should be a critical thinker. And I like that you guys said it doesn't necessarily make you smarter that you have a degree, and it doesn't necessarily do that. But what a good broad education should do is give you some background information about all kinds of different things, so that when you leave and you live in your life and you're a thinker, you're not starting from the ground level whenever something's important to you, right? Like 3 years ago, somebody might not have been that interested in biology, but now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, people are all of a sudden interested and like, oh yeah, well, what is an mRNA vaccine? So a lot of people are trying to learn these things from the ground up, but you guys, because you're going to learn a little bit about biology, won't be learning it from the ground up. And obviously for environmental issues, that's the case too. But for the whole college degree, that's why it's important. That's why you're taking classes that have nothing to do with your major. It is important for you to learn these things. And even things like, I don't want to say it, but when I think about the complaints that I get from a lot of people that I know, they think, well, why did I have to take an art class? I'm a chemistry major. Well, if you get the right art teacher, I think the idea there, for example, is that, again, this broad knowledge, and usually, and I'm just using this as an example, the artist is trying to tell you something, right? And to be able to understand what the artist is trying to say, you probably need this little background information. But anyway, I'm off my soapbox. That's why I think a college education is so important. That's why I want you to take this course seriously, because you're getting this ground, this foundation is what you're building. So when you make decisions decisions on environmental issues, you aren't starting from ground zero. I was going to say something else about that. Sorry. It's been a heck of a day. I was lucky to get on time. Yep. Yeah. So do either one of you have questions about that?
No.
Okay. And to narrow it down a little bit more, to get a little bit more specific, same type of conversation, but a little bit more specific about this course. I mentioned this in my first announcement, but my job is not to tell you need to care about the environment and say coal is bad and I don't know, well, electric cars are good and anything that has to do with the environment, you should support it. That's not what I'm doing at all. What I want to do is give you the tools to do your own research. And again, give you this foundation knowledge where you can build upon it. So when you need to make a decision, do I buy this or do I buy that? Do I vote for this person or do I vote for that person? Right? When you're making these decisions that have an effect on the environment, hopefully you'll be making an educated decision. And you have your own opinions, and that's fine. I just want you to have an educated opinion. And that being said, that should be a common theme throughout the discussions. A lot of these discussions are going to be conflicting points of view, sort of like they are today. And one of the big things I want you to take from this course through all those discussions is it's okay to have different points of view. It's actually really good because you might be pro-coal or you might be anti-coal. And I'm just using that as an example because that's our discussion this week. But you're both right in some way, right? If you're pro-coal, you know all the good things about coal, right? And if you're anti-coal, you know all the bad things about coal. So together, those two types of people make a great team because, they've done all their research, one trying to prove one side, one trying to prove another. But, there is no completely right or wrong answer when it comes to things like this. There's pros and cons, there's costs and benefits, there's risks. These are just things you need to balance. And to do that, you need to be able to share ideas with people and understand that even though you might think their ideas are wrong overall, they might be coming from a place that's valuable to you. So anyway, again, I think I'm off my soapbox now. Do you guys have any questions about that kind of general stuff?
No.
All right. Pretty simple. All right, let's open here. Let me show you my share my screen with you again. And what we'll do is go through the announcements. And again, I assume everybody's already read it, so I don't need to beat the dead horse here. Let's see. Hopefully you've already read this. A lot of what I've already said is actually up here on the screen now. Can someone confirm that you can see the screen where it's...
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, okay, let's talk about the practical stuff then. Like it's a 100 level course. Because of that, I do rely heavily on the textbook. So I'm going to give you all kinds of information that doesn't come from the textbook because I want you to have the most up-to-date information. But the only thing you're going to be tested on is what's from the textbook. So as you're studying and reading the textbook, understand that that's what you're actually going to be required to know. So if you have any questions about anything that you read, come to me for help. And I can either explain a concept or put you in the right direction. And maybe there's a good video that already exists that does a better job of explaining it than I ever could. But please come to me first because, there's all kinds of different ways to describe the same topic, especially in biology, because in some things you scratch the surface and some things you go really deep. And I know exactly which level you need to be at in this course. So make sure you come to me if you need help. Every week you're going to be expected to read 2 chapters from the textbook, as you are this week, chapters 1 and 2, and that's consistent. It's always going to be 2 chapters a week that you need to read. Every week you're going to have a discussion, and it's pretty much always the same thing. It's going to be one initial post that is worth most of your points, and then there's going to be 2 responses. I will say this, and everyone seems to miss this. Please read the prompts carefully. I don't understand what the problem is, but I've been doing this for a while, and there's always at least a few students who consistently don't read the prompts carefully. I get it once in a while, but throughout the whole semester, it blows my mind. So make sure you read the prompts carefully, and don't be afraid to ask. I know this is an online course, and I guess some people run them differently, but in my opinion, this should be almost like an in-person course if you want it to be. Now, if you're a student who's you took it online for a reason because you just wanted to do your own thing and not worry about the whole classroom environment, then that's fine. But I'm here to help. So, make sure you come to me. If you have questions, let me know beforehand. Don't just wait until afterwards and say, oh, I shouldn't have gotten that grade. Your directions weren't clear and I thought it was this. Well, if that's the case, let me know. So that's every week. Like I said, every week you'll have the discussion. That's generally the way it's going to work. 1 post, 2 replies. Sometimes it's only 1 reply if I'm asking for a more in-depth reply. Another common mistake I see with the discussions, and you only lose a couple points for this, but still, make sure you always include a source and make sure you make it obvious how you use the source. So don't write a long thing and just add some links at the bottom because you'll lose a point for that. Make sure you say something like, I looked this up and according to this website, there's this many people employed by the coal industry. Whatever it is, make sure it's obvious how you used your source. Every week you're going to have a lab. The labs are all online. You don't need to buy a lab kit. This is all pretty straightforward, as you just need to have internet access. And again, the labs, I'm here to help you. You're not on your own, so don't feel like the lab is some sort of test to test what you know. The lab is all about getting you to do some work and get, I want to say hands-on, but it's not technically hands-on because you don't do any physical experiments. But you are applying the knowledge, right? So you're getting practice. So I'm not testing you. So if you need help with the exams, again, come to me. I will walk you through it. I said exams. I'm going to say lab. I will walk you through a lab question by question if I need to. We can meet online. We can do what you and I are doing right now, where I can see you and you can see me and you can see my screen, and we can do that. I'm here to help. So that's every week. Every week you'll have a quiz. The quizzes are very straightforward. I think there's only 20 questions. They all come from your textbook. As a matter of fact, I didn't even write them. They came from the people that wrote your textbook. Yeah, there's not much else to say about that. And then every 2 weeks, you'll have an exam. Each exam should be worth each exam will be about 50 questions, and you will have about 50 minutes to take it. I personally don't like timed exams, but I also don't want you to take open book exams. So because it's an online course and because I don't want to force you to take a proctored exam, that's why it's timed, because you just don't have time to look up 50 questions in 50 minutes. So that being said, if you do want more time, and you don't need to give me a reason why, if you just want more time, contact me, about a week before the exam, and we'll find a time to meet online or get some sort of official proctoring. And as long as we can get it proctored by me or somebody else, I don't care how long it takes you to take the exam, right? I just want to make sure that you're using your brain and you're not looking things up. I will also say this, for every exam, you're going to get a study guide. The study guide is essentially me looking at the exam. What I did was I looked at the exams and said, all right, this question asks this, and I post it to the study guide. So each study guide, for example, should have about 50 questions. And each one of those questions, there is going to be a question on the exam that is that question, but reworded. And I should warn you about this too. The exams are worded very, very strangely, and they look funny. And the reason they are like that is because the students prior to you figured out a way to cheat. There used to be, well, there still is, there's an app you can use where if you take a picture of a question, it'll give you the answer. So what I've had to do is go in there and rewrite every single question on every single exam to where artificial intelligence, a camera looking at that question, it makes no sense. So that's why they are very strange. So again, I say, if you need more time to take the exam, let me know beforehand, and it's completely okay. So that's it for the weekly, bi-weekly things. Do you guys have any questions about generally how things are going to run?
Yep, I do.
Okay. Oh, you do? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hit the little hand raise button.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. What's up?
So with the I hit something else. My bad. Okay, so with the discussion post, our original post, does it have to be a certain length? Great question. Yeah.
And no, it doesn't have to be a certain length. And I hate this because this is such a weird thing to say, but I really don't want it to be too long. I just want you, every week you're basically trying to demonstrate some sort of concept. Like this week's basic. What you're really trying to do this week is demonstrate that you understand these concepts of ethical points of view. So I really just want you to do whatever you need to do to demonstrate that. Anything extra, you might think is a good thing, and I guess technically it is. You're definitely not going to lose points for it. But honestly, I've got to grade every one of them, so I don't need a whole novel. On my end, it's not good. And so there is no maximum, there is no minimum. I will say though, you can tell. I don't know if you guys have been online classes before where you've done discussions, but you can tell when someone's really just doing the bare minimum and they didn't even put in any effort. Like, all right, let me just put in some words. Let me follow the prompt and put in some words. And you won't lose points for that. But I will say, if it's really short and really obvious that you're just doing the bare minimum, then I will be a little bit pickier on some things. Like, for example, if you read the prompt, you'll lose a point for grammatical errors or spelling errors, whatever. Errors in general, you'll lose a point. Now, if you wrote 3 paragraphs and you've got, an error, like maybe 3 errors in 3 paragraphs, then you might just lose 1 point. That's no big deal. But if you've got 3 sentences and you have 3 errors, then you're going to lose 3 points. If that makes sense. Like you barely wrote anything, so the percentage of what you wrote and that has errors is fairly high. Therefore, you're going to get the full deduction, if that makes sense. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And on that note, if you post something and I grade it and you're wondering why you got that grade, definitely ask. I wish I could show you what it looks like on my end, but I can't, because then you'll see the grades of your classmates. But the way it looks on my end is I'll read a post. Well, I guess I can kind of show you. All right, imagine this was a prompt, right? Imagine this right here was a post in the discussion instead of me making an announcement. There'd be a little box here where I click it, and then it's a little drop down, and it gives me numbers to choose from, 0 to 25. I mean, sometimes I literally do just hit the wrong button. Now, granted, I always double check my grades, so eventually that will get fixed. But that might be the issue. You might be like, why in the world did I get such a low grade? So anytime you question the grades, not just for the discussions, but anytime, definitely ask, because it could be a mistake on my end, or it could be that you're just wrong, which is even better in a way, because that's a learning experience. So if there's something that you think should be marked as correct or have more points, then we can have that discussion. And at the very least, you'll learn from it, because it takes a different level of mastery of the material to argue your point. Like, it's one thing to say, well, according to this page, I'm right. That's one thing. But it's another thing to be able to say, to really demonstrate that you understand the concept. And, according to the way you're thinking, this should be correct because it fits the concept that way. And I'll probably just give you the point for it if you could, give you your points if you could defend your wrong answer, because it's not to me about what's right or wrong on paper. I really just want to make sure you understand the concept. So if you can defend a wrong answer by demonstrating that you understand the concept, then I'll generally give you your grade or give you the points. So any other questions about that?
I have a question, well, kind of a question, I guess, just about the lab.
Okay.
I've been going over it.
Yeah,
I haven't actually done the work yet because I was making extra sure I kind of understand how it goes. But I see where at one point we need to make a bar graph. Do you have, would you know historically what's been the best way to make that for students to create a bar graph to attach?
I really do think it's up to the student. It depends on what you're used to.
Okay.
You could, in my mind, the best thing to use would be Excel. Just copy that data from the table, paste it in Excel, and make a table out of it. You could use Google Docs. And I don't know if you can insert it from Google Docs into the paper, but at the very least, you could insert the link to it so I can click the link and see it. But just like I was saying earlier about the labs, when you actually get to do it and it's time, well, first of all, I think I have videos that show you how to do it embedded into the lab. But just anyway, if you need help and as you're doing it, meet me online and I can walk you through it. We'll do what we're doing now, where I can see you, you can see me, you can see my screen. We could change it to where I could see your screen and I could walk you through it if I need to.
Okay.
And this goes back to a question that I got from one of your classmates earlier. Don't be afraid to ask. Definitely ask me for help, like I've already said, but also don't be afraid to ask your classmates for help. So if you go here, I know you can see my screen. I don't know what it looks like on your end, but if you're looking at the class website here, you can see right here, there's announcements and community forum. This community forum is used for you. So, like your question about the graph, yes, ask me. But also you could ask your classmates, click this, add a new discussion topic and say something like, grief, I can't type right now. Help with lab 1 graph, right? And then you just go in here and type it in, the help you need, and hit post to forum. So again, this section is for you guys. Definitely communicate amongst yourselves. I'm here to help, but hopefully you guys are here to help each other too, especially when it comes time to study for the exam, because you'll all have access to the study guide. So it would help for you guys to study together. It's one thing to read it and think you understand it and try to memorize it. That's another thing to get up with your fellow classmates and try to explain a concept. You have to understand it a lot better to be able to explain it. Any other questions? Okay. Since we're talking about lab, another common mistake, and I know this sounds nitpicky, but make sure you save your file as a PDF before you upload it. And that's not because I'm being picky. There are a lot of times I am being picky, but that's not one of them. The reason being is some labs don't work properly. It's really strange. If you save them in their current format and then upload them, a lot of times you just lose stuff. And then obviously you'll miss points. If you're just missing a page because something happened in the conversion, then that's just what it is. So try to save it as a PDF before you upload it, which brings me to the next point. You should definitely try your best to turn things in early, because let's say you turn in the lab tomorrow and I grade it tomorrow. As far as I'm concerned, the due date's not until Sunday. So if I give it back to you and you missed 5 questions, you can go back in and fix them. You have until Sunday to fix it. Nothing is official until the due date. You guys clear on that? I'll probably repeat myself on that a few times this semester, but nothing is official until the due date for anything. You can keep going back and making corrections because I want you to learn from it. And also, after the due date, you can go back and make corrections. It'll be for partial credit, but you can still make corrections. So if you got a 50% when you turned in a lab, and then a week later you want to fix it, and you do, and you get all the questions right, you won't get 100%, but we'll split the difference, and you'll get a 75%. And that offer stands throughout the semester. You don't need to ask me. You can just always, at any time, go back and fix any mistakes you make. The only catch is my priority is new material. So, if you wait until the last week and all the students in the class start going back and correcting all their stuff, and I'm getting inundated with all this old material, I can't guarantee I'll have time to grade it all or regrade it all. So that's the only catch. Other than that, you're free to correct and re-correct. So any questions about that?
We are allowed to work ahead on some
yes. Yeah. That's another great question. As far as I'm concerned, you can do everything between now and Module 8. You can do it all this week if you want. The only thing you can't do is the exams. The exams open, they're only open for a week. So they're open the week prior to when they're due. Other than that, all the quizzes, all the labs, all the discussions, they're all already open and you can do them. Obviously for the discussions, you need to do replies, so you have to wait for other people to get in on that too. But yeah, you do it as early as you want.
Okay.
What else to say about that? Grades, and I don't know it's hard to explain. I'm going to share some links with you, but generally I'm going to pull back on the feedback, if that makes sense. So a lot of times with the labs, I might put an X on there and show you what you got wrong, but I won't explain how you got it wrong because of what I just said. Because if I just tell you, no, that's wrong, and the answer is this, then you can't go back and fix it, really. You're not thinking. You're just doing what I told you. So I'm going to hold back on the feedback until the end of the week. So that way you guys have the opportunity to go in and fix your mistakes. But that being said, if you get back a grade and, again, you're questioning why you got it wrong, just let me know and I'll answer it if I can. So early, get it in early. Make sure you check my notes. Discussions, sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth here. But with the discussions, like I said, usually you have 3 posts, right? Your initial and your 2 replies. Now, I grade each one of those individually. Like I said, I don't know what it looks like on your end, but on my end, and I can't show you, but again, let's pretend like we're looking at a discussion here. What it'll look like on my end is, somebody will have a post, and there'll be a little box, and I grade that one discussion. And then I go to the next one, and I use that little box to grade that one discussion. So I don't know how many times a semester I get this email where they're like, hey, I don't understand why I did so bad in the discussion. I've got a really low grade. What's wrong? And it's good to ask me that. But most of the time with the discussion, the reason you got such a bad grade is because I've graded one of your 3 posts, and I just haven't graded the other yet. And you cannot get that information if you're just looking at your grade sheet. All you see is the grade you got for the Module 1 discussion. To see the individual grade, you need to go in there and look at your post and look at that little corner and see what number it got. Does that make sense? It'll save me and you a lot of time. So I'm here to help, but if you can, please don't ask me for feedback on your discussion until you're sure that I've graded all the posts on your discussion. Anything else about, let's see, labs, exams, discussions, quizzes, any of that? All right, we're almost done. Let's look at some other stuff. Where are we at here? Grades I've already talked about. It might be a good time to say a little bit more about grades. I'm sure you've already read this, but like I said earlier in this meeting, I am very laid back, but some things I'm not laid back with, because I'm telling you now from the beginning, your grade at the end of the semester is your grade. So if you're 2 points away from the next letter up, don't be upset if I don't bump you up, because I don't bump people up. Your grade is your grade. You've got all semester to do what you can. And like I just told you, you have the opportunity to go back and fix any mistakes you make. So if you have 898 points at the end of the semester and you need 900 for an A, please don't be upset at me, because had you just studied a little bit harder, or had you just corrected one more mistake in a lab, you could have earned that A. I know that sounds horrible, but that also leads me to something else that we should talk about, which is extra credit. Whoops. Where'd you go? Can you guys still see my screen?
I can't see the screen right now.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll fix it here in a second. But thank you for letting me know. All right. So that brings me to extra credit. There will be plenty of extra credit. And I really didn't start that until COVID hit. But people were having a lot of hard times dealing with COVID and school. So I tried to make things a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but give you more opportunities to fix your own grade. I'll put it that way. So I offered extra credit. And the thing I want to mention about this, because I've got some, those student evaluations you do at the end of every semester. Well, I got one complaining. The first semester I started offering extra credit. I got a complaint that the extra credit wasn't worth enough. And I do that for a reason. It's because I don't want the extra credit to be a game changer. If you're a C student, I don't think you should be able to get an A at the end of the semester because you did so much extra credit, right? This extra credit, in my opinion, should be like a little boost. So if you were 2 points away from the next letter grade, you can just go in there and do a little extra credit and nudge yourself up. Another reason that it's worth so little is because I offer so much of it, and because I want to engage you in all these different things in the course and in the subject, but I don't want to force you to do it. That's my best way to do it, to say, look, if you want to, you can do this for extra credit. And because it's worth such a small amount of points, I can offer you so many opportunities and not worry about you going from like a D to a B simply because you did extra credit. So yeah, keep an eye out for extra credit. There'll be plenty of opportunities, and it's not limited to what I'm telling you. Like once you read this thing that I showed you, oh, where'd it go? Good grief. Anyway, this thing that I pulled up here, it's a long list. You guys will get access to this, all these different extra credit opportunities. But it's not limited to that. If you have an idea, it's like, well, what if I don't know, start a nonprofit that helps sea turtles or something? I'm like, yeah, that wasn't on the list of extra credit, but for sure, if you start a nonprofit that helps sea turtles, then yes, you could get extra credit. So, the world is your oyster. If you have ideas for extra credit, let me know. I think that's it. What else? Yeah, get your work done early. Don't wait until the last minute. I know sometimes you have to. I was a student too. I did it all the time, not because I was being lazy, just because I have a life. I had a home, family, a job. So sometimes I turn things in at the very last minute. So if you do it, I'm not judging you for it, but sometimes things go wrong. If you wait until Sunday night to turn something in and your cat pees on your computer and you no longer have access to get the work done, put it online, then that is what it is. You missed the due date, you missed the due date. But you can go back in and correct your mistakes for partial credit. So I guess that's it. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. So that's it for the overview of the semester. Let's very, very quickly talk about Module 1 itself. Hopefully you can still see my screen. The only thing that I really need to discuss, let's go. Let me talk about this very quickly. The discussion seems pretty straightforward, but people still mess it up. So I want to be very clear. For your first post, you're going to choose one of these ethical points of view: virtue, consequence-based, utilitarianism, or duty-based. And you're going to say whether you think we should continue to use coal or not based on one of those things. And this really isn't about coal at all. That's just the example we're using because a lot of us are from West Virginia or in West Virginia, so it's a pertinent issue. The point here is to demonstrate that you understand one of those ethical points of view. So for your initial post, that's what you're going to do. Make sure you define it. Make sure you relate that definition to your opinion of coal. That's basically it. Where people usually mess it up is this part right here. For your responses, you are choosing an ethical point of view from a different list. So you're no longer looking at virtue, consequence, utilitarianism, or duty-based. You're looking at anthropocentric, biocentric, or ecocentric. It's a completely different way of looking things. And I think it's very important, especially I see so much garbage on this. On social media, for example, on Facebook, I follow some group. It's an environmental group, so they say, and they're like, pardon the term, but they're tree huggers, right? It's all about tree hugging, and it's not. But a lot of their points aren't very smart. So, for example, they might say, some things about stray cats or something. I guess I don't want to get into it too deeply, but you might really treasure that one cat, but then you have to look at the grand scheme of what's best for the environment, and that would be the difference between biocentric ethics versus ecocentric, right? Do you value that one feral cat, or do you value the entire ecosystem? Because if you value the entire ecosystem, then you need to do something about that feral cat population, or hunting, if done correctly, would be good from the ecocentric point of view, because it's good for the ecosystem to be the predator that deer, for the most part, don't have anymore. As opposed to biocentric ethics, which might say, hey, that deer right there that you're looking at, it has intrinsic value, so you don't want to kill it because that is a living being, right? That would be biocentric ethics. So, in my opinion, this is a really interesting topic. I'm hoping you guys enjoy it. But anyway, I guess that's it, really. Do either one of you have questions about Module 1 stuff? What's expected of you? Anything like that?
Mm-mm.
All right. I guess that's it. Like I said, I'm going to try to hold these meetings once a week if I can. But obviously, we're done talking about the overview of the course. So moving forward, each of these weekly meetings will be like, all right, here's some feedback from Module 1. Here's some feedback from Module 2. So hopefully they'll be shorter than this one. But they'll always be this informal. Hopefully, I should say hopefully, but you can probably tell this is very informal. I don't have anything prepared. I didn't have any notes. I didn't say I'm going to say this, this, and this, because I wanted to be more of a conversation than a lecture, because, you get plenty of lectures in school. So if you guys don't have anything else, I guess we can end it.
Yep.
Okay, for the extra credit. Yeah, let's say 2 points of extra credit. So for those, you two, Austin and Madison, whenever you know what you want those points applied to, send me an email. Say, hey, I was there at the meeting, and I want the 2 points applied to this or that. And for anybody watching the video, the same can be said. Just send me an email. Say you watched the video. Let me come up with a keyword to make sure that you're not just saying you watched the video. All right. The keyword is Matchbox. I'm looking at my son's Matchbox car here. So when you send me the email saying that you watched this video, you two don't have to do it, Austin or Madison, but whoever else, if you're watching the video, say, I watched the video, the keyword is Matchbox. Please apply 2 points to the Module 1 quiz or the Module 3 discussion, whatever it may be. Yes, Austin.
So do you keep track of the extra credit points that we've accumulated, or do I need to do that myself?
Yeah, you'll need to do that.
Okay.
That's a good question. And usually it won't be hard, but this first week, that's a little bit more relevant because now, you don't have any grades yet. So you're wondering,
right,
where do I apply the extra credit?
right.
But moving forward, you'll know where to apply it.
Okay. I was wondering because I've already gotten a point. I don't remember what it was for, but it was for something extra credit.
Yeah.
And I don't like you said, I don't know what to put it. So
yeah. Just make sure you save the email, and then once you're ready to do it, use that same email and hit the reply button and say, this is where I want you to apply it.
Okay.
Yeah, but that probably won't be an issue unless you're a really, really good student, which would be a good problem to have. Like, I keep getting 100% on everything. I have nowhere to put the points. And that is the thing too. I'm glad you asked that. The way Moodle is set up, the maximum points are the maximum points. So if you get 25 points on the discussion, I cannot give you extra credit. If you get 20 points, which is full credit for the quiz, there's nothing I can do. You've already maxed it out. So I can only apply points to things where you're lacking points. So I'm glad you asked that question. And on that note, make sure you read all my posts. I'm trying not to post too much, but make sure you read them. If people don't start reading, or if it comes to if it gets to the point where I can tell people aren't reading them, then I'll start offering extra credit just to say, hey, here's my announcement. Send me an email that proves that you read this announcement. And I'll give you half a point of extra credit or something like that. So make sure you read my announcements. Anything else? All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. I've got to get cooled off. I'm still hot from this exercising. Let me know if you need me. Otherwise, I will see you next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.